Yesterday we talked about solving multi-step equations, and today we're going to talk about solving equations with variables on both sides. Now, yesterday we introduced you to these little letters, which the D stood for distribution, the C stood for combining like terms, M was for moving variables to one side of the equation or the other, A was for adding or subtracting, and M was for multiplying or dividing. And we referred to that as don't call me after midnight. Okay, that was on our previous video. What I'd like to do now is look at if we do have an equation such as minus 8x equals 4x minus 17, and we want to solve this. Notice that there's a variable on both sides of the equation, okay? And so we look over at our chart. Well, first, is there anything to distribute? And the key for most students to look for distributing would be parentheses. So if you see parentheses, you know that you need to distribute something. Here we do not have any parentheses, so we're good to go. Next, we're looking for combining like terms. And with this, I mean more like combining like terms on the same side of the equal sign. And over here, since this 17 does not have an x, we can't combine these. And since this 7 does not have an x, we can't combine these. So we're good with distributing and combining like terms. Now we're down to moving variables to one side of the equation or the other. And clearly, since we have variables on both sides of the equations, we could move them to either side. Now, a lot of students get used to having the variable on this side and then the numbers on the other side. However, they should also become familiar with having the numbers on this side and the variables on the other side. Both are correct, all right? And they're just reflective of each other. So when I look at this one, I don't like having a minus 8x. So the very first thing that I would like to do is, and I'm going to create a balance scale. And this will help me remember that I need to balance both sides of the equation. So on this one, since I have a minus 8x, I'm going to go ahead and add 8x to both sides. So let's do that. First we have plus 8x here. We're going to add plus 8x here because we have to do that to both sides of the equal sign. Okay, I'm going to draw my line. Now, 4x plus 8x is going to give me 12x. I'm just going to bring down my minus 17. Now over here, my 8x positive and my minus 8x, they're going to cancel, and all I have left is 7. So here's my new equation. And this looks very similar to what we just did in the prior lessons. However, let's look over at our little chart here, and we moved the variables to one side of the equation. And oh no, look, our variable happens to be on this side, just what I told you that some students are uncomfortable with, but we need to get used to that. Okay, so now that we have our variables on one side of the equation, if we look over here, we need to add or subtract. So let's go back to this. Now that I have the variable on this side, I need to get the numbers over to the other side. So I'm going to, again, create my little balance scale, okay? And I've decided that since I'm subtracting 17, I'm going to add 17 to both sides. Draw this again. I'm going to create a balance scale again, and I'm going to put my equal sign inside. So if you look here, These obviously are going to cancel. A positive 17 and negative 17 cancel. And I'm left with, let me make that not so big, 12x. Okay, actually I'll bring it down here. 12x. And that is equal to the 7 plus 17, okay, which is clearly 24. Now, I've done my addition or subtraction, so now I need to multiply or divide. In order to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by 12, divide by 12, and x equals 2. Now once again, I could go back and plug it into my very first equation and check to make sure that that is true. Also, this answer can be written x equals 2 for those of you who are more comfortable with that. But we really should get used to seeing it both ways.